If you have questions, concerns, and are just lost when it comes to planning for retirement, meet Steve Hoyl and Derek Caldwell of the Hoyl Financial Group. Retirement is drawing closer for those in that Gen X crew, and actually the oldest of them is about 60 now. I ran across an article that I saw on usatoday.com that said, for Gen X, retirement bites. And here are the reasons. Gen Xers don't think they've saved enough for retirement. They wish they'd started saving sooner. They fear outliving their savings, and they're worried about a stock market crash. So, Steve, with these oldest Gen Xers now maybe 5-10 years away from retirement, what do you say when it comes to confronting these uncertainties in retirement?
I don't think you can start saving money soon enough. I really don't think so. So I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of people fear outliving their savings. But I think one of the big problems that goes along with that is, what have you done with your savings to have a constant, dependable, sustainable income plan in retirement? You know, a lot of people think their 401k is a retirement plan, and it's not. So they just retire and they just start taking money from that. And all of a sudden they wake up one day and they're out of assets to take money from. Or we have a market correction like we had in 2008 that wipes them out. So you're using discounted dollars, 60 cents on the dollar to fund your retirement. So I think if anything people do well is they have liquidity, they have a really stellar tax plan, a really strong income plan, not only for themselves, but if they have a spouse, for their spouse as well. I think then also having an estate plan, I think that's so important. But Jess, I'm going to tell you something. I think that this economy is going to separate the men from the boys. I really do.
Tell me more about that, though.
Well, I get out a lot, and that's why I have to be on a big diet right now, because I eat out too much. But I always ask people, how's your business? And most people I know, their business is off 20%. I mean, we keep on hearing from the media that our economy is so strong. I mean, I'm just shocked. And, one of the things that really woke me up is in Amarillo, we have this company called Tyson. They're huge, different type of meat processors. Of the two major holidays a year, all of a sudden tell their employees, 1,700 of them, Jess, that they're laying them off. Instead of having two shifts, working 24 hours a day, they're going to one shift. And they lost so much money last year. It's part of this beef deal that's going on. It's really scary. Telling people, 1,700 people, they don't have a job, Jess?
Yeah.
I mean, a town the size of Amarillo can't absorb that.
That's true. And I want to go back to what you said. It's this beef deal. For those that don't know, there's like a tariff situation with the beef and all that, Trump's tariffs and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a trickle-down effect of these people getting laid off from Tyson. Gosh, I mean, there's no good time to be laid off, but my gosh, a week before Thanksgiving going into the holiday season, can you imagine? And let's be honest, if you've ever lost your job for whatever reason, maybe you even left the job on your own, you're not thinking clearly. And I can suspect that these 1,700 people probably are stressed and overwhelmed and trying to rustle around and find a job, that they're not remembering that 401k that they left back at Tyson, Steve.
Absolutely, they're not. We tell people so often, I have more people come to see me and they're right up on retirement. And for the last 20 years, they've had this 401k sitting at their old employer or sitting at the bank doing nothing. And Jess, you could have been letting that roll up every year for income at 8 or 9%, a lot more than you probably could have grown that money. And, it's all about income in retirement, how much you can have, month in and month out, Jess. So put that money to work for you. I mean, if not, maybe you need to use some of it, which I never recommended using 401k for liquidity. But that's what people do. They roll that 401k out. It's sitting over there, and oh my gosh, they decide to remodel the house. They decide that mauve is not the color anymore. And they use that money, and then Jess, they're in their highest income bracket they'll ever be. And then all of a sudden, they're paying the taxes plus the 10% penalty on top of that. Houston, we have a huge problem. But, Jess, I really think we're having Tyson people call us. We've been doing this for 36 years. And the great thing about it is we like to sit down with people and say, let's figure out what to do with your 401k, but let's also figure out how we're going to fix your income while you don't have a job. Okay? I mean, don't wreck that retirement plan. Do something, I mean, we're probably going to have more Uber drivers in Amarillo than we can shake a stick at because, a lot of people will go do that. Jess, I Uber a lot for business, for pleasure. I just think it's safer. And I ask people, what made you go Uber? And I will tell you that 80% of them, they lost their job wasn't a great fit. They decided to do something different. And it's interesting to talk to people. But, Jess, you still got to pay your electric bill, your gas, your water, your health insurance. And, you've got to have health insurance. That's a huge problem. And, you've got to put food on the table. And I'm going to tell you, Jess, I just can't believe what food costs these days.
Oh my gosh, inflation, that is a whole another conversation in itself. Again, I go back to what you were saying about the news saying the market, the economy is doing great. The market is doing pretty well, but the economy, I think, is a little different. And same thing with inflation. They keep saying it's gone down. That's a whole other argument. I think we all agree that when you go to the supermarket, it's not the case.
Well, I don't agree with that at all.
Exactly. But one thing I want to hit on real quick, whether you were let go from a company like Tyson or maybe you have just entered retirement, you still have to find a way to pay the bills, right? Whether it's a want, a need, a desire, the medical bills, what have you. So you have to find a way to either keep paying yourself in retirement or budget yourself enough off of that pile of money that you saved for 30, 40 years, Steve.
Absolutely. And, I love to sit down with people and talk about options. What are your options? A lot of people have some sacred money they inherited from a relative that's sitting over there earning, and when interest rates, the banks were paying 5.5% on a certificate of depletion. That was great. But now, we're seeing those down 2.93%. So it's not working as hard for you. So we tell people, let's figure out how to fund that and make sure that you use your 401k as the last resource. I think the other thing is just, once you have an old 401k or sever from your job, you can come to a firm like Hoyl Financial, and we can help you make that money work harder for you, less fees, and really have more control over it. Jess, it's so important to pay yourself first. And I think over my past 30 years, we've really helped clients find some great income streams. And one of those is in our toolbox is using an annuity, an income annuity, where you can turn income on, maybe not today, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, because you let that roll up because that income value rolls up every year. It's huge. And then when you turn that on, you can turn it on just for you or your spouse, where neither one of you can outlive that. But all of a sudden, if the market corrects from a 401k to a 201k, you don't have to worry because you have time on your side to let that market recover. And I think that's a huge thing, Jess. People come and sit down with us and we start doing planning for them. They're shocked at how much dependable, sustainable income they can create. They're like, well, wait, I can only get 3.5% at the bank. You're exactly right. But, Jess, we're helping people get 6 and 7% each and every year, taking it monthly over their lifetime. That's mailbox money. That money is going to be there when you need it. And Jess, I tell a lot of people with those old 401ks is, today you think you're going to work 6 more years or 4 more years. But if you worked at Tyson, the next day you went in, you didn't have a job. People ask me, when should you start talking to somebody that handles your money? I really think that there's all different types of people that handle your money. But at Hoyl Financial, we're different. We really focus on that final phase of life called retirement. And I think one of the things that really makes it or breaks it for Americans is, one, having a written plan, and 2, during that retirement red zone, which is 5 years before you retire or 5 years after. Any huge bad decision can wreck your future, Jess. I had a lady in our office the other day that was talking to me, and she's like, I don't want risk. Okay, but I want to know why you say that, because there's all different types of risk. There's interest rate risk. If you're earning too low of interest and inflation's too high, that's inflation risk. But she said, my aunt and uncle, after 2008, lost everything. They had about $30,000 left, and they cashed it out and put in their savings account.
Wow.
If they were within 2 years of retiring. So what I say is, don't let that happen to you? And, I find so often that we have people that come see us that are do-it-yourselfers. They're just too close to it. They're really smart, and they did 9 out of 10 things really well. But that one thing, you don't know what you don't know, wrecked their retirement strategy. So I just think getting a second opinion from someone like us, we have kind of modeled our toolbox from our clients. They taught us. We'd put the plan together and keep on looking at it every year on the reviews, and we'd think, wait a minute, we could do this a little bit smarter. We could do this a little bit better. And we've been able to tweak that plan. So, these wrinkles under my eyes and losing all this hair, it's from our clients. But, we've kind of done the Texas two-step together, Jess, which is take 2 steps forward after we set up that plan, then stop, step back, review it, and then make sure we're on track. And just one of the things of all the things that I think we help our clients do the very best, this one thing a do-it-yourselfer doesn't have. We ask people when we meet with them, put their plan together, will you sincerely give us permission when we get back together at least every year to do your review about where we think you are in this process? And, most of them say yes. When you sit down and you kind of critique it, you got to kind of say it kind of softly. But giving somebody an honest opinion, and I'm going to give you the best example out there. I've used it over and over, and I think it was huge. We had a client, he was in a bad wreck on a motorcycle. He died instantly. Well, he was a few weeks from retiring. He had put all this money together. He had bought the RV. He had done everything. Well, his wife, she just was pretty, this gorgeous blonde, and she's still gorgeously blonde. We love her. She comes in and says, what do I do? And she just kind of came and listened, but she was not an active participant because she said to her husband, you've got this, right?
Yeah, that's sometimes how it goes. There's only one person that really is in charge.
So, out of grief, she started spending. So she came to see us before Christmas, and she had bought not one, but 2 fur coats at this fabulous store in Amarillo. I'm like, okay, what did those cost? Now let me say this for a minute. I'm kind of a clothes guy, so I don't mind buying good clothes. Well, Derek was like, oh my gosh. But, we just told her that's great for this year, but if you continue doing that each and every year, you're going to run out of money. And then, the second thing that we noticed quickly was she was really blowing through cash. And she said, well, I have this one son and he's sad about his dad. So we're just trying to make it better. A little money here, a little money there. And I said, you know what you need to do? When you get together next time and he wants a little money, you just say, I'd love to give you that money. But you just need to understand, when I run out, I'm coming to live with you. And he's like, whoa.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Exactly.
But
exactly.
Yes, these are real problems. These are real important things. And, sometimes people come to see us. We did that 1-year review and you don't have to continue to fold up the foil like my dad did. And, you don't have to continue to save all those plastic cups. We all have our thing. Jess, mine is fuel. I will get on my app on my Lexus and find the cheapest fuel in town and drive there. It just annoys Derek Caldwell. He's like Hoyl, But I can tell you, I was yesterday in Fort Worth. I saw fuel as high as $2.79 for unleaded, and I saw it as low as $2.14 in Arlington. So,
yikes.
If you think about 50 cents a gallon, as much as I drive across the state, it really makes a difference, Jess. So what I really tell people, I think retirement planning is about 2 things. Having a written plan that's well put together, and then doing a bunch of small things in that plan really, really well. So if you don't have a plan or you need a second review, you need to pick up that phone and call us right now or go to retiretexasstyle.com. But we need to sit down, no matter where you are in Texas or the Oklahoma Panhandle, let's figure it out, because you know what? It's the beginning of December. What a great time to work on that so you start the new year with confidence.
If you'd like to sit down with Steve and Derek or a member of the Hoyl Financial Group, visit retiretexasstyle.com.
Investment advice offered through Hoyl Wealth Management, a Texas-registered investment advisor able to provide investment advice in states where it's registered, exempt, or excluded from registration. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of loss, including possible loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here. Content provided is obtained from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to its accuracy or completeness. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Steve Hoyl, Texas Insurance License 716036. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Steve Hoyl is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Steve Hoyl is licensed in your state, please call 806-371-9473.